Okay. Howdy, everyone, and welcome to another event. And this one is again an exciting event because we are partnered with IEEE to talk about networking and elevator pitches. And these go a long way in making good first impressions in different job search and career related. So we hope that this workshop will help you get some of your questions answered. And let's get started. So, since this is a partnered event, we know that some of you may be from, like one organization and want to get involved with the other one. So, we will be introducing both the clubs in the beginning. So, I'm going to start it off by talking just a little bit about DSC. So, DSCs are university based groups for students who are interested in using Google Developer Technologies to work on projects that help their local community. And this is a global program that is run by Google, and currently there are 1,200 plus chapters all across the world. And students just kind of come together to learn about different technologies. They work on projects that help local businesses, NGOs, or maybe just students on their campus. And it's a great opportunity. You get a great exposure to a community of students from all over the world, and you get access to tons of resources. So it's really easy to become a member. Students from all major classes are welcome to join, and undergrad as well as grad students can join. And in terms of the events that we do, so we do technical workshops on different technologies. So last semester we've done workshops on TensorFlow, introduction to machine learning from a Google developer expert, and we also did a workshop on Flutter. And we also have some exciting workshops planned for the rest of this semester. We also do study jams, which are more comprehensive, 3 to 4 hour long events, kind of like a mini hackathon where you work on a specific Google technology, and there are different labs which give you experience with that technology. And then there's a little competition towards the end, which helps you just kind of assess your understanding and also compete for some exciting prizes. Um, we also do events where we bring in people from the industry and other DSCs to talk about their experience, talk about the kind of projects that they work on, just to give you the kind of exposure to real world projects. And we also do community building events like resume reviews, which was also in partnership with IEEE last semester. And we also do socials and other events which are really fun and which help you just kind of get to know other students who are interested in the same things as you. So in order to become a member, you really don't have to do anything. Just join our mailing list and our Slack. The links are there on the slide deck. And this slide deck will be shared in our Slack. So we do send out all important announcements through these two kind of means. So these are our main means of communication. So make sure that you're like up to date with all of our upcoming events. On the next slide, um, are some opportunities that we have for you going on right now. So Google organizes this annual competition. It's called the Google Solution Challenge, wherein you work on a project with a team of no more than 4 people, and you just kind of your project should aim to solve a problem that people around you face. So this year there is a theme to the solution challenge, and your project should be centered around one of the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Um, and you can read up more about the goals and like the solution challenge in general at this link. In addition to that requirement, there are tons of other important requirements that you need to kind of go over. But one important thing to remember is that you need to be in a team of no more than 4 people. And if you're interested in participating in the solution challenge, you can pitch your idea to us at this link. And just remember that even if you're not interested in participating in the solution challenge, but just in general want to work on a project, you can still submit your project to us and we will help you find a team and help you, like we'll put you in touch with other students who are interested in working on the same project, and then you all can get started and we can provide you with lots of resources. Now there are some exciting prizes at stake with the solution challenge, so you will definitely want to look at those. And one important thing about the solution challenge is that when you sign up for it, you get access to a great community of developers. You get mentorship from Google developer experts. So this is definitely something that you want to check out. So read up more about it and definitely fill out the form if you're interested. And the next good thing that I want to talk about is the think tank. So think tank is essentially a group of people who help us, a group of people who are experts in their fields, like in one or more technical domains. And this is a great opportunity because you get to give workshops and you also give share your expert advice with our projects. This is a great resume booster and a platform for you to showcase your talent. We currently have a few think tank members on board, but we're always looking for more. So there is no deadline to the think tank application. We accept members throughout the semester on a rolling basis. So if you're interested, you can fill out the survey at this link. It is a really short form, and we would love to read your application. So with that, I'm going to go to the next slide, and we're going to learn a little bit about IEEE.
Yeah, so my name's Vicente Trevino. I am the Professional Development Chair for IEEE. And IEEE, technically, we're the largest technical organization for double E majors. We do a lot to help students. We take in any major, and we offer things like corporate talks, which yesterday I think we had Coke, and tomorrow I know we'll have a Valero coming. And we have a bunch of companies. I know we'll have ExxonMobil. We did this really cool workshop with TI at the beginning of the semester where students got to work with Arduino kits, and it was pretty fun, a pretty fun event. We also have a career fair yearly that we'll have yearly. It's a fun way to meet new companies, also get your name out there to potential internships. Also this weekend, we have our hackathon coming up, which is a more of a hardware focused hackathon. And it's same thing as TAMU, a TAMU hack, but like I said, it's more hardware focused. It's going to be virtual. There's prizes for first, second, and third. I know first place I want to say is an Oculus Quest 2. I know second place is a Bose QC35 version 2 headphones, and I think there are places like a Nintendo Switch Lite. So yeah, if any of that stuff interests you, you can always reach out or connect through one of our links through our Slack and reach out to one of us and get connected to do that event this weekend. Also, we have tech workshops. I know we've had workshops over Linux. We've done Python workshops and stuff like that. So, it's a fun way to learn new things and stuff like that. But yeah, also, if you're interested in becoming a member at all, it's only $10 for the entire year. You'll get a t-shirt. You'll also get a mask. And if any of this stuff interests you, just reach out to me at the end of the event.
Awesome. So now we're going to learn about elevator pitches. So just a quick introduction. So there are like a lot of stories behind the concept of elevator pitches, but I think the most popular one is that just imagine that you get in an elevator and there's like one person in the elevator, and that person is maybe a person holding a really high position at your dream company, or maybe they are a recruiter at your dream company. And you get in at the ground floor and you're going to go all the way up to maybe the 20th floor or something. And you have about 30 to 40 seconds to just kind of talk to them and convince them that you're a good candidate for whichever role it is that you're interested in at that position. So that is your time to shine, and you want to make sure that you make a good, solid first impression. And elevator pitch is a great way to do that. So let's look at the first slide. So what is an elevator pitch? Well, I kind of described the concept, but it essentially gives a clear and brief message about who you are, what you're looking for, and what you bring to the table. So um, it's typically around 30 seconds long, and imagine an elevator ride, being on an elevator with, a company representative or a recruiter. And where exactly do you use elevator pitches? So the most important place is a career fair where there's like a lot of company representatives that you want to go and talk to. And just imagine the career fair maybe at our university, right? And there are like so many students in line waiting to talk to that representative. And when you get your chance, you don't have a lot of time, just have maybe like 5 minutes at max to just kind of pitch yourself and convince the representative that you're a good fit for the company and for that role. So that is where elevator pitch will play a huge role, just to kind of make a good first impression, to let the person know what kind of roles you're interested in, and how exactly you're a fit for that role, and what past experiences you have, which make you a good candidate. The second place where you can use elevator pitches is at hackathons. So at hackathons where you have a lot of company sponsors, these representatives attend the hackathon, and you get a chance to go and talk to the representatives. And most of the time, they will be looking for, interns or full-time employees or other candidates. And this is a great time for you to build connections and just kind of pitch yourself to them and let them know that you're interested. And you never know, if they like you, that they can pass your resume along, help set up an interview or like another kind of meeting. Elevator pitches are also useful in general in like meetings, coffee chats, when you're meeting someone for the first time, and you just want to make sure that you're able to introduce yourself properly and the other person gets an idea of your interests and passions, especially in the professional world. This is like a really important topic. And you can also use elevator pitches in elevators. So on the next slide, Pawan will be talking about what to include in your elevator pitch.
Yeah, so when you're creating an elevator pitch, the first thing you have to do is think of what you have to put in it, right? So oftentimes this is going to be your name, the class you're in, for example, the major you're in, especially your graduating year is very important, especially if you're a freshman or a sophomore, the clubs you're in, et cetera. And of course, this is going to be changing over time, right? Your interests are going to be changing. The class year might change, for example, depending on your graduation time. You might change from a sophomore to junior, for example. And yeah, so that's going to change over time. Another important thing that a lot of people actually tend to not include in their elevator pitch, but I think personally it's very important, is the fields or, for example, time that you really want to do the internship or co-op that you're looking for. If you're looking for a co-op, make sure to mention that. Or if you're looking for just an internship, make sure to mention that. If you're only interested in, for example, data science or a specific electrical engineering role, make sure to mention that in your elevator pitch, because that gives essentially recruiters the right idea. A lot of times people give elevator pitches and the first question they ask after is, okay, what kind of role are you looking for? So you can kind of help them out by giving them the information quickly. And another big thing is you have to kind of prove to them during that time that you're really confident, not only in yourself, but also that you are right for that role, right? So you have to show them that you bring stuff to the table and that you have experience, whether it be internships or personal projects, or that you're just really, really passionate. I know people who have very little experience, for example, but I've shown to recruiters that they're really, really passionate and that they have read up on the role, they read up on the company, and that they really, really want to work for that role in that company. And that really just makes recruiters' life a little bit easier to help you out. So yeah.
Awesome. So next thing, what do you do after you've pitched yourself? So after those 30 seconds are over, what do you talk about next? So the first thing to remember is that the other person that you're talking to is a human, and you want to make sure that you keep the conversation going. After those 30 seconds, there can be a long, like awkward pause where, like depending on what exactly you said in your elevator pitch, that is how the following conversation will go. So one important thing to remember is that you don't want to rely on the other person to drive the conversation. So, how can you do that? You can prepare some talking points or some conversational topics ahead of time. So, since you're the person who is starting the conversation, you want to make sure that you have some things to talk about. So, how can you do that? Before you go and talk to your company representative, you make sure that you read up on the company, just know what they do and what kind of projects they work on, or what kind of work they do, or what impact they have in the industry, or just in general. You can also read up about the position of your interest, and maybe you have some questions about anything in particular or anything in general that you can ask if the person that you're talking to is a recruiter. But it just helps to have a rough idea of the company, especially if you're talking to the company. If they're your dream company, you ought to have questions about the role or the position. And it might help to also ask, if you're talking to someone who works at the company, maybe as a software engineer, and that is the kind of position that you're interested in, you can ask them about what kind of work they do and what their day-to-day life looks like. You can just ask them questions about their life and their work. So just be prepared to, come up with some topics on the point to just kind of talk to them about. The third bullet point says that be prepared to ask or answer anything. So ask anything means that, if the conversation is dying, you should be able to come up with a question or a topic right on spot, just kind of keep the conversation going. But another thing to remember is that you should be prepared to answer anything, right? So maybe when you go up to them and you start your elevator pitch, maybe you hand over your resume to them. And while you're pitching yourself, they take a look at your resume. And when you're done, they ask you something about a project that you've listed on your resume. So you should be able to answer any question, right? Anything that's on your resume is fair game for not just interviews, but also just kind of general conversations. So before you hand over your resume or before you go and talk to a company representative, just make sure that you kind of go over all the things that you have listed on your resume or your past experiences just so that you can talk about them when asked to. And just in general, be confident, be honest, be prompt, and you want to show them that you're like really confident in talking to other people, you're good at communicating, and just be honest because anything that's on your resume, even if you're talking to a recruiter right now, later on for an interview, the interviewer is going to ask you more like in-depth questions about it. And the last thing is that know when to take the hint and end the conversation. So you don't want to be there all day long, just kind of dragging the conversation along. I mean, I'm sure that the other person won't let that happen, but I mean, it just does not make a good impression. And just realize when there's like no more things to talk about, or maybe the other person is not interested, just politely end the conversation and move along. So going forward, Pawan, you can take it.
Yeah, so I'm going to be going over some examples actually that we as a group from DSC and IEEE have come up with in our own times of using elevator pitches. So for example, the first one is me. This is kind of like an older one, but this is kind of the one that I used, for example, in the last career fair. My name is Pavan Palati, and I'm an honors computer science student at Texas A&M, minoring in cybersecurity, and graduating in fall of 2022. I'm actively seeking a spring co-op for this year, as well as a summer internship for 2022. I'm interested in a wide range of different fields, including software engineering, web development, data science, and of course, cybersecurity. I'm in a variety of different organizations here on campus, including the Developer Student Club, the Product Management Club, and Indian Students Association. And one fun fact about me is that I really love talking to people and diving deep into their passions, along with making others laugh. So yeah, just I guess some couple key takeaways from not only my example, but others that you'll be seeing later on, and hopefully things that you'll be adding to your own elevator pitches as well, is the most important thing is a personal touch. You want to make sure that whenever you're talking to a recruiter or a higher up or any of the sort, that you sound human. You're not just saying like what you do and kind of just simple things that are very factual, I guess, for that matter. You want to show them that you have other interests and that you genuinely like talking to people, that you're a good communicator, and that you just have passions that are not only about technical expertise or that are fitting the role. So yeah, specifically about mine, I talked about specific positions that I'm interested in. I kept it broad because I am, for example, interested in a wide range, but this also doesn't limit my fields that I'll be getting accepted into. I talked about student organizations, like I said, fields of interest, and I added personal touch. So yeah, another member from DSC is Stray, so I'll go over his as well. Howdy, I'm Shrey Shah, senior in computer engineering. I really like machine learning and cloud computing, and I'm looking for roles regarding that. Over that, I'm an officer in two of the largest coding clubs on campus and regularly deliver workshops for over X students, exchanging based on what the company culture suggests, right? Then casually says dreamily, as he told me to add, oh yeah, and I'm also a magician, right? So like again, like I said before, he added like that kind of personal touch about being a magician. He talked about his interests, and he specifically added like description of involvement and contribution to clubs. So yeah, we can go over to the next one as well. So yeah, we have two more. This one is Dakshika's. So for example, she said, "Hi, my name is Dakshika and I'm a sophomore CS major. I'm really passionate about making technology accessible to people, and leading a computer science club on my campus has truly fulfilled this passion of mine or fueled this passion of mine, helping me bring a lot of resources to students. I'm really interested in your work in blank field and would love to get to know more about the opportunities this summer," right? So for example, you already see that there's like a blank in the field. That's actually something that I really like, is that she's kind of attributing it specifically to the company or role or position, right? and that will work for a variety of different places. So it'll make not only the recruiter more interested in what she has to say, but also see that they have experience or they're interested in that field, right? So yeah, like I said before, it shows that she's really passionate. She's linking her experience with student organizations, and she's kind of ending it with an indirect question to keep the conversation going along. Like I said before as well, it's really important to be able to continue the conversation with a recruiter. And if you notice that even within like a minute that the conversation is going nowhere, it's important to take note of that and kind of just say your goodbyes or whatever you need to do because you know it's not going well. But if anything, the longer the conversation is going and if it's both mutually, you're talking this equal amount to each other, then that's really great. Um, and lastly, a member from IEEE, Vicente, he says, "Howdy, my name is Vicente Trevino, and I'm a junior computer science student at Texas A&M with an emphasis in mathematics. I enjoy working on projects that let me explore new technologies and tools I haven't used before. On campus, I'm involved in organizations such as IEEE and XCOM, where I serve on the professional development team. In both of these positions, I strive to help students improve their technical and soft skills and help them prepare for the careers they want to pursue. This summer, I'll be working remotely for VSAT as a software engineering intern. I'll be working in embedded software development, automation testing, and system infrastructure development. In my spare time, I enjoy listening to music, and I've recently gotten into brewing my own coffee, right? So right off the bat, I want to say that something really unique about his is that he has talked about prior internship experience or things that he will actually be doing very soon, right, in internships. Not only that, but he really emphasized right at the beginning that he enjoys working on projects that let others explore new technologies, including himself. And that really just shows recruiters that not only is he passionate about other things, but he's passionate specifically about personal projects and has experience in internships as well, right? Or will have by the time he gets the next internship. So he kind of has, he's like a jack of all trades. He has experience in multiple different fields and he's very passionate. So yeah, and specifically about his internship, he talked what he will be doing, right? And that helps a lot if he'll be working for a similar company or is talking to a role with a similar position. So yeah.
Awesome. Now, IEEE will be going over networking, so just let me know when you want me to go over to the next slide.
All right, yeah. So yeah, I'll be talking about networking, and yeah, we can just move on to the next slide. And like, what is networking? It's not just like exchanging information, just passing people your business cards. It's about meeting these people and then forming lasting relationships with those people that you meet. Because as we all know, like, if your network is strong enough, or if you like know certain people, you can get the jobs that you want. You can get to places that you want to be. It's a real good way to kickstart your career. If you know someone that works at a place you enjoy or want to be at, if you meet that person and start forming that relationship early on, you're more likely to get a position there or like get recommended, since people you typically recommend people they know or also like. And since you've put yourself out there and you've introduced yourself and started forming this relationship early on, it's a good way to have that opportunity open up. Also, networking is a way for you to just develop yourself professionally. There's a lot of people in the field that you're in that know more and have been experienced and done the things that you want to do. They're a great way to provide tips and insight on what you're looking for or where you want to go. They're a great way to help you in your career if you ever decide to switch, or maybe you're unsure of where you want to be. Also, it's a good way to find out about new things that are going on in your field. You can stay up to date that way. And I think networking just overall is just a great way for you to develop and just push yourself further where you want to go. And overall, networking typically occurs anywhere in your day-to-day life. You have social events that you go to, there's new people you meet there. LinkedIn, everyone knows about LinkedIn, right? It's the best way to make connections that way. When you get an internship, or if you ever decide to do an internship, you're going to meet other people there that work there, or people that are also doing internships. Making those connections with them is also a great way to get that opportunity, get insight on the company, or also just make new friends, and also see like what those people are doing. And maybe if they get somewhere and if you like want to ask for advice, they can help you. Also, even in university, you know, you meet all these people on a day to day. It's good to develop yourself and build these connections with them, because if you ever need help with something, maybe they're in the same course as you, or maybe they're in something that you want to get involved in, you know, just having these people and knowing these people allow you to figure those things out without having you just search on your own. And I think you can go to the next slide. These are just some different types of networking. You know, there's operational networking. This is essentially just forming relationships with people you know at your work to get your job done. So as you move on, you know, as you move into the field, you're gonna have things that you need to do. And if you don't talk to anyone, or if you don't try to build those interactions with other people, you're gonna be usually working by yourself, which isn't a good idea, since sometimes you will be confused and sometimes you won't know what to do. And it's always good to, even if you're unsure about something, you know, just go and ask someone that's probably higher up, or someone you're just working with, you know, because they can help you learn what you're doing, or also just give you a tip on like what the right direction is, you know. And just having those connections makes doing your job easier and makes figuring out things also just not that hard. And personal networking, essentially just building relationships with fellow peers, you know, alumni, other professionals, and just social groups. You know, this is a great way to, you know, meet new networks that other people have. You know, the more people you know, they'll introduce you to their people. And it's a great way for you to expand and build on top of what you have. You know, it's also a great way for you to hear about new job opportunities. You know, if you have a peer that works somewhere, you know, or and they know that something's about to open up, it's a great way to hear about that. And also, it's a great way to get career advice, you know, since you're talking to these professionals and since you're like expanding your network to more places that you're unsure about. If you see something like, oh, hey, maybe I want to go there, maybe I want to work there, you can ask those people in that field about it and they'll let you know about it. You know, it just helps you learn more about things you don't know. And it's just an easier way to figure out things that you want to do. And strategic networking is contacting contacts who can help you in the long term of your career. And also if you ever plan to switch, you know, these are like people like managers, your boss, anyone that you view as a leader or higher up. You know, eventually, like I know a lot of us want to have like roles in leadership. It's a it's always a great opportunity to move up in the world. And these people are those contacts that will help you learn tips on how to be a better leader, you know, also what ways you can move up, you know, and get to where you want to be in life. And these contacts are very important. And usually people forget to make these contacts, and having them just helps you move up faster. And then we can go next slide. So when you network at an event or anything you do, you know, when you're networking, the first thing you want to do is look for quality connections over the quantity of connections. And like, I know that it's great to have 500 plus connections on LinkedIn, but it's more important that those connections that you have actually mean something instead of them just being numbers. Because if you strictly have an online connection, it's not going to get you anywhere. You know, if you build a connection, and if you know that person, if they know you personally, you can ask that person for a favor. You know, they won't hesitate to help you, instead of you having all these connections and then you don't know anyone that you're connected with. And when you connect, or when you start connecting, you want to try to find a common ground right when you start talking. Because if you can find something that you're both interested in, it makes conversation a lot easier. And it also makes that person remember you more. Since, you know, it's like, oh, this person likes that. And, you know, it's easier just to break the ice instead of just awkwardly bringing up topics, unsure about things, you know. And also, while you're doing this, while you're talking to them, you know, try to keep the questions that you ask open-ended. You know, ask them about things that they enjoy, things that they're doing, or maybe things they do at their job. You know, those are always important. It's just things to keep the conversation flowing, and so it doesn't stagnate or sound awkward when you're talking to them. You know, because a lot of the times when you're talking to new people, it's hard to keep things moving since you don't know, or you probably feel nervous or unconfident about yourself. And also, while you're doing this networking, you know, you can use your elevator pitch in this as well. You know, it's a great way to show like what you're interested in. It shows them that you know what you want to do, you know where you want to go. And it like just shows how confident you are just having that elevator pitch ready. And also while you're talking, using that elevator pitch, it shows like what differentiates you from everyone else. It's like when you network, these people that you meet, you meet a ton of people. It's like what makes you stand out, like what makes you stand out and why they should build a stronger connection with you. And if you can show why you're someone that's different from everyone else, you can start building on top of that and start making a stronger relationship with that person. Also, something that I've was given the tip on is like when you network, or like say you're at a career fair or something like that, a career fair, a social event, it's always great to like take notes on the people that you meet, get their first name and their last name. Also, put down little things that you talked about, things that y'all had in common. Because this way it's just easier to go back and remember. So when you get that contact information, so you can make that connection, you can follow up on top of it and show that you actually were attentive of what y'all talked about and you retained it. And it also just shows that you actually care about the connection you're going to make. Because a lot of people, especially like recruiters, let's say, they get connection notifications every single day by like a bunch of people. But if you can show that you remember what you talked about and you show that you found that common ground and they found interest in you, if you can bring that topic back up when you start that follow-up, it really makes you stand out more. And it shows like, oh, hey, yeah, I actually remember this person, instead of someone just like, oh, it was great meeting you, let's connect again. You want to say like, it was great meeting you, it was great talking about these topics, and then also leave it open ended, like what things in your field can you relate to me that will help me benefit, and it's just making yourself stand out and having those topics that really bring them back and want to keep talking to you. And I think overall, I think the most important thing is that you can have a great conversation with someone, and if either it be a recruiter, someone new you met at a social event, or maybe a prof you want to do research for or something like that. It's if you have this great conversation, y'all hit it off, this person really likes you, and you're like, oh, I can build this new network connection. If you forget to follow up, none of that really matters. You always need to follow up, either be like 24 hours or maybe the 48 hours, but it should always be in a day or two. It shouldn't be like a week later or 2 weeks later, because if you do something like that, they're probably not going to remember what y'all talked about, and they might forget, because they're meeting new people every single day. It's important for you to, once you hit it off and once you show that you're someone that can stand out amongst everyone else, that you follow up and you keep following up so you don't lose that connection. So when you need something, or if you want a favor, you can ask them. And since you kept that connection, you kept bringing things up and keep moving that conversation, they don't forget about you. Also, I just want to say one more thing. It's while you can get these favors back in your network, you also want to try to give to other people, because you can't always just be asking other people for favors. If you can show that you can also give others like opportunities, and also like you bring something to the table that brings more value to yourself, and that person also sees like, oh, hey, I remember when they did something for me, and then they'll also help you back. So it's important to do things for other people instead of just always asking for things in your network. But yeah, overall in your network, you just want to build sustainable relationships. It's not just about the numbers that you have, it's about those connections that you make and then what you do with those connections. And I think that's it for me.
Awesome. That's all the slides that we had. So now we're going to open up the floor to questions. And I will stop my screen share. Okay. So you can put your questions in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
I have a question. This may not be really easily answerable, but I've always wondered, like, so many people are always going to these recruiters and various people in these companies, kind of talking them up, trying to get a position there. Is there any way to make it seem less like forced almost? Because it's almost like they know that why you're talking to them, Is there any way to make it seem more candid?
I think a good way to do that is to just kind of find the common ground that we talked about, get to know them on a personal level, maybe, and keep it casual instead of talking about, like, like, instead of making it more specific to the position or the company, maybe you can try to get to know them on a personal level. That's what I have to say. Does anyone else want to add anything?
Yeah, so one really big thing I always see a lot and actually heard this or just kind of started doing this even starting my freshman year is one important thing to note is recruiters are there for a while, right? Especially at career fairs, they're there for maybe 7, 8 hours on end. So as simple as like when you're coming up to them and you're like the next in line, right? You don't want the first thing you say be maybe, for example, your elevator pitch. You want to maybe take a second to say like, okay, how are you doing? Like maybe joke about like, the weather or something. It feels like raining really hard, or just kind of lighten up their day a little bit and make them kind of continue to want to be there. That definitely does make a difference, and again shows you that you're human. And like we said in the elevator pitches, make sure to kind of add personal touches. That really helps a lot. Really just try to keep the conversation going. Maybe it's people always like answering questions about their own role. For example, so if a recruiter says like, "Hey, I'm a recruiter and I'm working in this role. If you have any questions about that, please feel free to ask. Make sure to ask about that if you're interested, and don't just ask because you're kind of want to do that. Really, just try to be human about it and try to keep the conversation going like that."
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah. So there's another question. When networking with someone at an event and you know you don't have as much credibility as you'd like at the time to put technical skills on a resume, what approach do you recommend taking into making yourself stand out? That's a great question. I think a good way to go about handling the situation is maybe you can, try to get to know more about the company. Instead of talking about yourself, ask the other person about their experience, ask them about their work, or the kind of people that they meet in their position, or just kind of get to know more about opportunities at the company, or how you can get involved in and get involved with the company. And you can also ask, maybe you can say something like, hey, I'm planning to apply to this position maybe this semester or like next summer for the next summer or something like that. And you can say what skills do you all look for, and you can say that how exactly can I build up these skills, or what would you like to see in a good candidate. So that those are the kinds of things that you can ask about. So try shifting the focus from yourself to the company or the position or the person that you're talking to.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, yeah, it's the same thing like that she said. It's just showing that, like, since you don't have the technical skills that you want, it's just showing that you have interest in this company, and then just showing how you see yourself aligning with this company. If like with the person you meet, what they say, like what they're doing, try to relate it back to things that you enjoy, things that you want to do, and show that the person that you're talking to, that you know where you want to be and you know what you want to do with yourself. Because even if you don't have the technical skills, if you can show where you want to go, it shows that you're more confident and that you can assert yourself. And it's just important to show people that that you can have things together, even if you like none of us really have our things together, but it's like conveying that to others, is what I think is important as well.
I actually have one thing to add on that. One important thing is that a lot of freshmen kind of seem or feel that, like, for example, going to career fairs in general or talking to recruiters is not really worth because they know they don't have a lot of experience or beyond that even. Um, I think that's really important to note that whenever you're talking to recruiters or being in a career fair in general, one is a lot of times they make you, for example, fill out a form online or anything like that similarly. That make sure you fill that out and go, because next time you come in, whether it's a year from now or 2 years from now, when you talk to that company, they'll notice in the system that you've been there before, you've applied to their positions, even if you're not qualified. And second thing is a lot of recruiters actually, as you're progressing throughout your like years in college, you'll be seeing the same recruiters actually over and over again in the same career fairs. So a lot of times, if you're talking to a recruiter, maybe your freshman year, and you notice them again the next year fair, kind of talk about this, saying like, "Hey, yeah, I talked to you last year. Actually, I didn't have as much experience, but Now I do, and I'd love to talk further. So yeah.
Great question. Other questions you can put us.
Yeah, I have a question. So
Go ahead.
yeah, so how do you talk to recruiters outside of the online format right now, because of COVID? And if you're just talking to them on LinkedIn, like what do you talk to them aside from like the job or the job description? I want to know like when is it an okay time to actually ask the question that, hey, I'm looking for a job? If you could like elaborate on that.
So, I think during these times, there's really no opportunity like other than talking to them like in this online format. I don't know if it's possible for you to like meet a recruiter in person during these times. So it is definitely going to be online. I know that when you first reach out to a recruiter on LinkedIn, it's hard because they know that you're reaching out to them because you're like interested in a position or you're interested in the company. So I think a good way, I mean, you will have to start the conversation, like keeping it specific to what you're looking for, right? Because otherwise, if it's like very generic, they might not end up responding. But once they do respond, maybe you can try to I know on LinkedIn, like if you're reaching out to a recruiter, a good way to kind of connect with them is to look at what kind of content they share on their account. Maybe they make a lot of LinkedIn posts or they react to other people's posts or comment on their posts. So just kind of see what kind of content they share, what kind of topics they're interested in, or you can also see in like their experience section, maybe they worked on something that you're interested in, or just kind of their skills or interests in general, and try to find a common ground. Maybe you can talk to them about that. But that is what I would say.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I'd also like to add to this question where like online finding like connections or like figuring out like or getting a job or something, not only like connecting with like recruiters on LinkedIn, but also like connecting with people who have the job that you want, right? So like let's say you want to be like a data scientist or something, and then you like connect with that person on data science, and then you ask them a couple questions on like what their job's like, and then people love like talking about that. And I think that way you kind of get your foot into the door by knowing someone inside the company. You can use your elevator pitch and all your other like fancy like skills to grow your network that way too.
Thanks.
Yeah, and making connections with like current employees really helps you in the long run because like if you get to know them on a personal level, you can like eventually ask them for a referral, right? Because you cannot ask a recruiter
Mhm.
for a referral, but you can ask an employee. So that's definitely a great point.
Yeah, because recruiters, like I said, they get like a bunch of connections. And, people typically forget about like project managers or just other people that just work there, like no one reaches out to them. So if you can reach out to them and show your interests, and like you said, yeah, you can work up to get a referral, which is also good to have.
Yep. And I've personally observed that employees are like much better at responding and they're
Mhm.
like more like almost always happy to talk about like their work or project or the team. So
Mhm.
that's a good way to connect with them.
Yeah.
And it's also a good way to just in general learn about the company, even if you're like not looking for a referral, but just like learn about what work you will be doing eventually in the near future. It's always good to have
Yeah.
an idea.
Also, like, don't feel scared. Like the worst thing that can happen is like you say something really cringe and then you never see them again in your life. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Great question. Any other questions? Upcoming career fairs.
I think they majority of for the spring semester passed. Yeah. It's towards the end of recruiting season right now, I think. But I like what the end of the summer, start of August, things kick up back again. So it's always good to look then. Yeah, but like when you're looking for like a job opportunity and stuff like that, you want to start early. So, that fall semester once it comes up, or like start as like the end of summer and start of August, you want to get to it. You want to start applying to companies because that's when they start looking for new hires. But things start dying down, they start filling up roles in the spring. It's not impossible to find a job because I know for me at least, my sophomore year, I looked and I got my first internship for Viasat that way. So it's a possibility, like it's not impossible, but it's just a little bit harder and you have to look a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there might not be a career fair coming up, but you can always attend like hackathons and talk to company sponsors there, especially like in the online format, like on Discord or something.
Um, Most embarrassing networking interview, like just interview in general. I know I was interviewing with Google and I told the guy I really want to learn more about Microsoft, and I was like, and I didn't realize I said it until like once it came out of my mouth, and I was like, oh.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that wasn't fun.
I was talking to similar thing happened to me. I was talking to Chevron during the career fair, and these are the same like people that I actually had an interview with the prior year, and because of COVID and everything, I didn't get the role or didn't even have a chance because of that. Um, Even though he recognized me and liked me, I said like to Chevron and them saying, yeah, I really like what ConocoPhillips does, and yeah, and it just went downhill from there. They kind of were joking about it, but I had no chance. So.
Yeah, it's just like you're nervous, right? And you just kind of
Yeah,
forget. Yeah. But like
yeah.
once you say that, it's just like it feels bad.
Don't expect anything after that happens.
Yeah.
Luckily, that has never happened to me.
Yeah, I have a lot of pretty cringe messages to like employees at random companies that I want to work for, but most of them just ghosted me, and I think it's fine.
Yeah. I think the most important thing is just to keep trying,
Yeah,
like you just can't just give up because like a lot of companies will reject you, but like if you keep trying, you'll find a company that will accept you. And then once you get that, you can build off the top of that and go to places that you want to go to. So yeah.
yeah. I think also freshman year I was like really shy and not able to talk to recruiters at all. And I remember talking to the Visac recruiter, which is like the Centis recruiter, and then I remember I just straight up walked up to her. I said, "Hi, I like your company," and then I just left. I didn't ask any question, and, and that was it. That was it. But the more you do it, the better you get. Hopefully.
Yeah, especially if you're like a freshman starting out with like talking to recruiters, like they mostly appreciate you for just, like being a freshman and coming to the career fair and kind of trying to establish the connection. So like don't be scared to just go and talk to someone. Like it's definitely not gonna hurt you. I mean, unless you like mess up the company name or something like that, but otherwise, don't be scared.
I have one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just wondering, like, for y'all, what like I went to a career fair. It was cringy, like y'all said. We all have like our cringy moments, but I was wondering like what tactic has worked best for you. Like, it's always just been beneficial in like your interviews. Like some people say that like ending with like what are your concerns with me? How can I improve or something like that? Like what's a tactic that's always worked for y'all?
Does anyone want to take a shot at that?
It's like I don't think there's no concrete way to like get an interview or like like sometimes it happens by luck, sometimes you just get lucky. But I think what's more important than having like a tactic, because you don't want to like follow something verbatim every single time. It's just like I think I'm sorry. It's just like show who you are, because I think that's more important, and that's what they want to see is that the person that you're gonna be, and that when you work there, like that you care about the company and that you care about what you're doing. And yeah, you can always ask like I think asking for improvement is always helpful, just figuring out where you can do better even after talking to them. But again, it's just showing just who you truly are. Like, why do you want to work there? You know, what can you bring to the table? You know, what interests you and where do you want to go with yourself? You know, it's just things like that is what a company wants to see. And it shows that you care, that, and like I've been saying, that you know where you're going. I think that's what's important, is that you're confident enough to tell them what you want to do and where you want to be.
Yep, and there's really no set way to like end the conversation. It really depends on like how the conversation went and what all you talked about, and depending on that, you can like end the conversation more properly. So, having kind of one question planned ahead of time, I don't think that's gonna help you. Yeah.
I will also say, actually, add on to that. As you're talking to different recruiters, whether it be during interviews or etc., every recruiter is pretty different. They talk about what they like to talk about, and they'll ask the general same questions, but your experience will be really unique per interview and per talk with the recruiter. So if you, for example, recognize that a recruiter was really nice to you, they answered your questions really well, they talked about their personal experiences a lot, especially if this is an interview, don't forget to thank them. One, that should be a normal. And second, kind of mention that, like, I've been in, with a recruiter once, I was talking to him, and he, like, beyond anyone else I've talked to, he answered my questions really well. He catered my questions toward my interests. And I make sure to mention that, saying like I've never had that kind of experience before, and I really respect that. So yeah.
Yeah, and if you really hit it off with like a recruiter, then and maybe you're at the career fair talking to them. So one thing that you can ask at the end is like, maybe just get their contact information, maybe get like their email address, or just say, hey, I will add you on LinkedIn and hope to hear back from you, or whatever, something like that. So that is a good way to end the conversation. These are great questions. Anything else you want to ask? Okay, if not right now, maybe you come up with a question later. You can still ask the question in our Slack. There's a separate questions channel, and all of the officers from IEEE, I think, who are present here, and also like our officers, will address your question in that channel. And other than that, thank you everyone for coming to the event today, and thank you to IEEE. We really had fun organizing this event, and we hope that all of you got something out of it. Yeah. Have a great rest of your night.
Yeah, thanks everyone for coming.